And welcome to Down the Alley. This is PMAC.
And Ted T.S. Spirides.
And Katie.
Happy Thursday. Happy State Week. Happy semifinal is over. On to the state championship here in a couple of days. We're going to recap the semis. We're going to talk about the year of the upset. Group might join in. He's starting to whine in the background. And I'm testing out our new ice.
The year of the upset. What a day in the
What a day.
State semifinals. And honestly, even what a day in the consolation bracket. Before we even get to the games and the breakdowns, as a fan that, I'm a coach of a team and we are not at the state tournament. So now I am just a fan of high school lacrosse. A sincere thank you to the teams for the performances that they put on today. Win or lose does not matter. Absolute battles on the girls' side, on the boys' side, leaving it on the field. Made my $6.99 stream monthly fee to watch all the games more than worth it. And just such a brilliant display of just the best teams in the state. And, obviously, yes, there's some teams that maybe could have been there, should have been there, but the four that were remaining on the girls' side and the four remaining on the boys' side certainly made it an entertaining, fabulous day of lacrosse.
Katie, you were in the stands for a lot of the day, girls and boys. What are the vibes from the stands? What kind of fans, what kind of coaches? Being on the sideline, I saw a lot of familiar faces and logos of clubs and high schools and kids and parents and old people and young people. What's kind of the point of view of the stands? We had Ted's point of view from the stream. You're in the stands on both boys and girls. How electric is it up there?
Yeah, well, like Ted said, I kind of, on the girls' side, am really just a fan. Besides it taking me, what should have taken me 45 minutes, took me an hour and 20 minutes to get there today. I was a little rattled by that, from stoplights just to like traffic to stalled cars. So I was kind of rattled when I got to the field. I'm not going to lie that I was like, I have just been like, where did I drive to? But the girls were over at Stillwater Pony Stadium. I got there during the girls Chanhassen Elk River Zimmerman game. And like Ted said, even in the consolation bracket, it was a back and forth battle. Fun game. Honestly, I was kind of rattled all day. It took me forever to get there, and it wasn't 100 degrees. And so, like, thank God I brought a sweatshirt. We were like sitting way up top, and Coach Tamra Hodgins had like a parka on because it was kind of windy up there. And like, we were in sweatshirts today, which is not a typical state temperature, I feel like. The vibes for the Channel River Zimmerman game, I'm going to say not a lot of them. There weren't that many fans in the stands, but then once Stillwater versus Edina rolled in, probably because it was Stillwater's home field, which they were the away team. So that was really confusing on the scoreboard. There were a lot more fans. Stillwater Girls Lacrosse has a flag that a parent, I'm pretty sure, made. And I mean, it's very well done. Don't get me wrong. It's not like bad. It's actually like a very well put together flag that they wave. And so I'm going to maybe try to bring that to Friar Lake. Coach Heather didn't really give me like an affirmative yes or no on if I could bring a flag to the stands. I mean, ginormous flag that the parent will wave. But that was a really like, again, a back and forth game. They had a lot of fans in the stands, and then went over to the boys game at White Bear Lake. And the small stadium stands they were packed, I'm pretty sure.
I absolutely loved that vibe. Like from the sideline,
Yeah,
their stands aren't super tall. They're kind
they're
of like
short.
the angle is kind of more of a flat stand,
Yeah, you're kind of in
and
a
it's
bowl.
longer. Like
Yeah,
it takes up the whole field length.
yeah,
Versus going to like the 20-20 or something like that.
yeah.
So I really like the vibe. Like it felt like the fans were kind of on top of us with us.
And
And
another field that the sideline is in front of the spectators side.
yes.
I hate that.
Why?
I don't like parents knowing what I'm saying.
Well, so if I'm mad, I don't like it. But if the vibes are good and the boys are buzzing and the crowd's into it, I absolutely like today. Today
Yeah,
I loved it.
yeah.
Today I loved it because like you can feel the energy coming from the crowd,
And isn't
Yeah,
like
I mean, yeah, I mean, it was definitely not as like, I got a DM that the facilities are not nice. They were not as bad as I thought they would be. The turf alone, though, someone's gonna tear their ACL. I mean, kids went down on both teams.
People overreacted on the facility. The facilities were fine. Roseville was much. Last year at Roseville, those were terrible. Ted, what do you
Much
got?
worse, but I was like worried about guys and their
No,
knees.
the knees are fine. Ted, what do you got?
It is AstroTurf.
in football, each team has a sideline. So both, like, you're always going to have fans because I think they put away fans on one side because football, they get a lot more people. So that's probably kind of a vibe of what you get if you were a high school football player, a college football player, or whatever, of having, fans on your back and fans in front. Yeah, I definitely get the aspect of, you know, having maybe they're a little too close to hear what you say, you hear what they say, but the energy definitely when when they're on your side, it definitely brings another aspect to the game. I think you feel the momentum and like just the swing and momentum, the energy back and forth a little bit more because you're right there. And yeah, so that's interesting. Yeah, honestly, like obviously Stillwater's great. White Bear, I've never been to their high school, but it looked, it looked fine. So
Like they might have like an addition on it too. Like it's not like I said,
camp-
Roseville was way worse than this.
White Bear has 2 campuses, I think, for their high school.
Oh,
like,
they do.
9th and 10th or somewhere, and 11th and 12th or somewhere, or something like that. Or
Interesting.
I
So-
work with a guy that alumni of White Bear Lacrosse, and I believe they're doing some sort of construction either on one of the campuses or they're building a new situation. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if he was 100% sure, but sources are telling me they will be at one of the campuses or a new campus or something with new facilities. So White
I
Bear
can see
Lake
that. It was
is getting
it's a small
upgraded
school. Like I don't know how many students they have, but this actual building seemed very small.
because it's split right now.
Okay, I see. Because it was small. I also it's just been a whole day. I was mad about the traffic. I was mad that the turf. I was worried about these boys on the turf. I did get a chance to try the concession stand at White Bear Lake because I came from the girls' games. I was like going the speed limit because I just got in a car crash, and so I am a very tense driver right now. And I got there and got a hot dog, and I have to say I kind of loved it. It was kind of like honestly, it was like a boiled hot dog.
Is White Bear Lake concessions, are they a top 10?
I don't know about that, but
Are they a top 10
there were like
concession
these
program?
like cute old men there that I think it's owned by the Lions Club. So like, are they veterans? Are the Lions? I don't know.
Yeah.
But they were like working in back there. And so I was happy with it. And Matt Ripley was actually right in front of me and just looked at me and just was like $2. So
JP would be happy with
an affordable, like quality hot dog. It was not on a roller by any means, but I really enjoyed it. Maybe it was because I was hungry.
JP,
Even better, I got a second round of emotional eating because it was a tense game. The popcorn was awesome. It was a little small.
So JP would be happy with the dollar per inch of the hot dog situation at White Bear Lake. $2.
He would not be happy with the size of the popcorn because it was a small, like usually you get the huge bag. Yeah. This was one small box, but it was like really good. It was really good popcorn.
So there you have it. White Bear Lake concessions are, would you say they're up to par? They are satisfactory. Yeah. They are getting.
I wouldn't expect anything more out of a concession stand. They had a great candy lineup too. They had Reese's. Wow. They had Sour Patch Kids, I'm pretty sure I saw.
There you go.
So I would say I definitely.
So does everything now flips back to Stillwater for the finals, right?
That is correct.
Okay. So that's unfortunate. Maybe they could have a merger acquisition of concessions. Maybe
someone's just got to run to Sam's and just get a couple more things, I think.
Yeah, no, well, that's good. So I'm glad that your day turned around.
Yeah, because I got a hot dog and some popcorn.
Concessions.
I have another hot take too.
Okay.
So from a source.
Katie is buzzing right now.
I know. It's been a long day. I've had a lot of interactions. I've been up, down, all around town. So, like, scroll back to the end of May or whenever this was. This is a source. A source told me, not the source, a source told me that there were some tweets about.
Rude is on one right now. Kick him out of the podcasting room. Katie's slamming doors. She's pissed.
There was some. Oh my gosh.
and Groot breaks in. And Groot breaks in.
Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, that you want to mark that one down. He just busted the door down.
He'll start barking again. So a source came over to me and told me something. So there were some tweets from the Chanhassen girls lacrosse team. Remember, there's never a bad day at Chan girls lacrosse because their captains are just all smiles all the time. So the Metro West Conference had a 3-way tie with Benilde, Jefferson, and Chan. Like literally gave it to them. They all had the same number of points. So I guess they had a 3-way tie. And so I guess Chan like tweeted like, champions, yay. We're like 2023 Metro West champions, yay. And we can chirp Benilde girls today because you'll find out later they had a good day. So this is an appropriate time to just kind of like throw a little shade at them. I guess they got all like upset saying like, you're not the champions. And the girls were like, yeah, we are. And like, you are too. So you could just say we're the champions. And I guess there was this whole like thing about it on Twitter that they won. And then Benilde's coming back saying, no, you didn't. And Chan's like, yeah, we did. And so did you. So all you had to do was say we're the champions also, because there's a 3-way tie. And little Jefferson's sitting in there, meanwhile, able to say we're the Metro West champion. And I'm like, well, that's the Metro West Conference fault for having a 3-way tie. If you're not going to like pick an actual champion, nobody can get sad about it if there's 3 of you.
A share of the title. That is what it is. That happens not a lot in sports, but it
right.
happens.
Right. And it was just so funny. It was so on par for Benilde to be like so upset about it. But anyway, so that was the source. That was a source today that I heard about because we were called out that we announced that Benilde was the Metro West champion.
For the boys, we did.
Oh, we did? Did we ever do the girls?
I didn't personally do it on the blog. The source may have done it.
Put that in there.
Put that in there.
That
Something
like that wouldn't get by the source.
The specific call out of Metro West champion.
Oh, it was the boys.
Podcast is the boys.
Got it. So that's on the source. He'll listen.
Yeah.
The new source. So anyways, that's what I heard too today.
So do we want to start on the girls' side or do we want to start on the boys' side?
So, we can kind of take this a few different directions. We could jump into scores of the day. There was also some, I believe, since our last podcast a couple of days ago, there was some Metro Player of the Years announced and Metro teams announced, I believe. So we could go that direction or jump into scores. I'm open-minded, whatever direction we want to take it.
Let's jump into scores.
Okay.
Girls
first.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll be honest, I tried to watch as much as I could today. Next year I'm going on vacation from Tuesday until Thursday. Well,
no, you know what you got to do? You got to send your family. You got to send your family on a vacation. You got to send Annie and the girls to Mexico.
And honestly, it hasn't been even family stuff that's necessarily conflicting. It's work that has because we started club season too. So that it is what it is. But I wanted to definitely just watch 8 straight hours of lacrosse. But I was able to pop in and out. I watched a little bit of girls when scores started getting interesting. The thing I hate about the stream is that and this is fair for them as a business, like you can't watch on 2 separate screens. So I can't watch, I wanted to watch the PL BSM boys and then catch the end of the Lakeville South BSM girls, because that one was heating up and it was like, sorry, this is logged in on another screen, and it kicked me off. So it's hard to watch both at the same time, but nonetheless, it looks like Eastridge beat Champlin Park 11-7 in the consolation side, and Elk River Zimmerman beat Chan 11-10 on the consolation side, setting up Eastridge and Elk River Zimmerman for the consolation title on Saturday. So, obviously everybody wants to win the state championship, but still a lot to play for, even if you don't win your first game. And both of these programs, a consolation championship would be a huge stepping stone for both of these programs, definitely. I think. And
I forgot what Elk River Zimmerman ended up last year
at. Yeah, I don't. That's a good point. No, but either way, hats off to them. And good luck to both teams. I think that should be an interesting game. I think both of them, like I said, have a lot to play for, and that could make for an interesting consolation game. On Saturday.
Not to break up this girls lacrosse chat, but I believe we've got, for our second episode in a row, a call-in. Ted, I believe you know this guy very well. He is a former stud goalie out of community that we just were talking about, Eastridge. He is a alumni of the University of Detroit Mercy. Not a big deal. Mr. Bixby, welcome to Down the Alley.
Hey, PMAC, thanks for having me tonight. I appreciate it. Hey, first off, I just want to congratulate PMAC and Prior Lake on advancing to the state championship as they face Lakeville North on Saturday. That's awesome. So congrats.
Hey, thanks for coming out today and for the tire pump. It was great seeing you yesterday and today. We'll talk about yesterday in a few minutes, but really appreciate you coming and cheering on the Lakers today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great catching up the last couple of days. But a couple podcasts ago, I know there was some Juicy Lucy talk going around. So is that why you're having me on tonight?
That's definitely why I'm having you on tonight. So like Bixby said, I don't know the full timeline of this. I did kind of tease this for the fans. Ted, maybe you remember, you have a better memory. I've been hit in the head a few times. How did this all come along? I know I teased the fans that we've got a Juicy Lucy reviewer kind of going around talking Juicy Lucy's. Was that pretty much the sum of it, Ted?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if we were like ranking something else, and then or we were talking about Juicy Lucy's, and then you're like, I got somebody that wants to like go on the tour and
Yep.
rank the Juicy Lucy's in Minnesota. And this was like early spring, so it had some time to hit the different establishments, and I think it sounds like the list has been, is it finalized, or is this just a first draft, or
So I think, and Bixby, you can correct me if I'm wrong. So for Down the Alley Nation, Bixby is the Juicy Lucy source. He's been putting in weeks of work. He took some of our recommendations that we put together, I believe, in that podcast, and he's hit them pretty much up. And you've got a good. Are you calling it a metro area kind of rankings? Is that kind of what you're going with?
Yeah, so so I have some other sources telling me from two sources that Newt's in Rochester, Minnesota is the best Juicy Lucy in the state. So I have yet to try that, but apparently that beats all these city locations that I tried. But for my rankings that we're going tonight with, they'll be just like the Twin Cities rankings, the top 5 Juicy Lucy's of the Twin Cities in the state of Minnesota. So, it was back in April. Me and my buddy after work, we were just thinking, hey, what's for dinner? And I was like, Juicy Lucy's, no doubt. So the closest thing to my buddy's house was the 5A Club. So we checked out the 5A Club. And then, a few years back, I remember PMAC actually took me and my head coach, Chris Cullen, of the University of Detroit Mercy, out to Matt's Bar and Grill. They also have Juicy Lucy's there. So I texted PMAC after we went to the 5A Club, and the list kept growing from that conversation, and we ended up having to check out all these places in the Twin Cities, and we were like, all right, well, what's the best Juicy Lucy in the state of Minnesota, or I guess in the Twin Cities now? So we checked out Matt's Bar and Grill, the Nook in St. Paul. There's also a Minneapolis location of the Nook. I believe that's called Shamrocks. We checked out the Blue Door Pub. We checked out Buffalo Tap in Savage, Minnesota. And then we also checked out the 5A Club. I believe that was the 5.
Yeah, I believe that, yeah, that was the 5 that we kind of talked about. I was fortunate enough to get the invite to the 5th. And I'm excited to see kind of what your notes and thoughts are on each. Like you said, Matt's Bar has kind of a soft spot for me as that's kind of where it started for me, and that's where the Detroit guys go. We try to go every summer when coach comes back to town. So I'm interested to see where that kind of falls. And you should probably work up the list. So 5 to 1. What's the 5th best? What do you think? And what do you have?
Okay, so starting from bottom up, that would definitely be. Hold on one second here.
Oh, he's got to go find his notes. He doesn't want, or does he have a pet? You got a pet whining too? Yeah, we got pets are involved. We got barking. We got crying.
We got my cat scratching at the door, so I had to let her out.
yeah. Groot broke into Katie's room twice, so we get it.
Oh, geez. But hey, that's part of life. But anyway, so starting from the bottom up, that was actually the first place we started before we even had the idea of ranking the top 5 best in the Twin Cities Metro. These are like the top 5 most popular. That's why we checked out these locations. Also, a couple of them claim to have the original Juicy Lucy. So I know the 5A Club claims that, and Matt's Bar and Grill claims that. So interesting enough, as we started at the 5A Club, that was at number 5. Honestly, my burger, and keep in mind we at all the locations that we went to, we just got classic Juicy Lucy's, and we ranked them in terms of strictly the burger as like a Juicy Lucy, and like everything involved in that, not including the bun or anything else, you know, like fries and all the extras, not included, just strictly the Juicy Lucy.
How about the vibes? Are vibes a factor or no vibes?
You know, we can talk about the vibes after, because the vibes would not compare at each location.
Fair enough. So we're going strictly burger.
Strictly burger
Love it.
at this moment. So starting at the bottom, we got the 5-8 Club. Honestly, my Juicy Lucy was just super dry, not a lot of cheese. I ordered it medium rare. No, I don't even think you have an option there. I think it was just not pleasant to eat. I don't know. I'm a medium rare guy when it comes to burgers, so it was just really dry. There was not a lot of cheese in it. I mean, I was just expecting more. I've had better Juicy Lucy's in my backyard. So going up the list to number 4, that was actually the location that me and PMAC ate at last night. And that was at Buffalo Tap in Savage, Minnesota. And I put that at number 4. You know, that was actually that was a solid all around Juicy Lucy. Nothing wrong with it. Just nothing special. I really enjoyed it, and it was a great time catching up with PMAC last night. So I'm going to put that at number 4.
I think 4 is fair, and I was actually happy with 4. I was worried it was going to be like a 5 or like, man, this is a 10 and we don't even have 10 on here. It's just, my local establishment. I hadn't been there in a while, to be honest with you. And I would agree. It was like just a fastball, nothing crazy, a lot of cheese, and it hit the spot, but nothing, off the rails.
Absolutely. So moving up the list to number 3, we checked out the Blue Door Tap, and I believe that was in Minneapolis, and I believe that was a Ted recommendation, right?
Ted, you love that spot, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been there in a while. From my memory, I've enjoyed. Again, I don't know if you're just comparing the burger. I don't know where I'd rank it, but vibes, sides, everything else, it's a good place. But yeah, pretty solid.
Yeah, vibes and sides definitely would probably be up in probably at the number 2 spot, maybe 3. But also when it comes to the Juicy Lucy, honestly, on the unofficial review, this is the official review right now, but on the unofficial review, I'd put the Blue Door Tap at number 2. That it's actually a blue cheese Juicy Lucy, and it was just phenomenal. Something about it is just very special. You've never had it in any other any other Juicy Lucy. It's nothing alike. So I would definitely go check out the Blue Door Tap. But I have to put it on the official Juicy Lucy ranking at spot number 3, only because it is a blue cheese Juicy Lucy. This is a Juicy Lucy review, and I'm everyone in the state of Minnesota probably is assuming a Juicy Lucy is a burger with American or cheddar cheese in the middle of it. Am I right or wrong there?
I think that's fair, right? That'd be a standard. I don't know.
I think everyone knows about Blue Doors, though, that it's blue cheese.
I would agree that the standard is a yellow cheese, and the blue cheese is definitely a spin-off or a twist on the whole situation.
Yeah, absolutely. But like I said, on the unofficial review, I'd put that at number 2. It was fantastic. But official, I got to go number 3. But number 2, Nook. I mean, honestly, Nook holds a strong number 2 spot as well. It was just a toss-up between Nook and Blue Door. But for the official, Nook, man, those medium, they actually say they're like more rare, like the burgers are more on the rare side, medium rare side, and they had a lot of cheese in the middle of it. So when you take your first bite, like a bunch of cheese almost like spurts out. Like you got to make sure you wait a few minutes after the server brings it to you, otherwise you might burn your mouth. But man, the Nook has fantastic Juicy Lucy's. And honestly, I'd put the Nook in St. Paul at vibes number 1. They got a bowling alley in the basement, so go check it out, grab a Juicy Lucy and hang out with your buds. It's definitely good times. And then moving on to number 1, we got Matt's Bar and Grill. Honestly, if you like onions on your burgers, that was literally a fantastic Juicy Lucy. I definitely recommend Matt's Bar and Grill. I hold that strong. And honestly, that's where PMAC took me and our head coach from Detroit Mercy. And that's just the spot that PMAC takes all the Detroit guys. So funny enough, that ended up being at spot number 1. But honestly, I really think I think that's the best spot to go in Twin Cities for Juicy Lucy.
Yeah, I think that's a great list. Unfortunately, I've never been to Matt's. I've been to all the other ones. I've never been
I
to
just
Matt's.
went. I just went for the first time because PMAC wanted to go there for his birthday, and
There's something about
that's it.
a flat top griddle that's been there for 50 years, and you just can't. I don't care what you try to do to the burger with the seasoning, with the different cuts of meat, with the whatever you want to try. There's something about the seasoning on that griddle that's been there for a long, long, long time, and it adds an element.
Exactly.
I'm just glad that it lived up to like the hype in my head, because I manufacture a lot of things in this dome, and when I get on something, it's everyone else is a rival and I'm all in. So I'm glad on the unbiased list there's some confirmation that I'm not absolutely crazy.
See, and this list is just on strictly the Juicy Lucy patty alone, because honestly, Matt's fries were super stale. Like, I put that at like the bottom of the barrel out of this list on fries. But back to the Blue Door Tap, I think though they had like steak fries, regular French fries, and tater tots, and then they had Cajun, like herbs and spices, and like original fries. So they had a bunch of different seasonings and options for fries at the Blue Door. So that was pretty cool. So that was probably like the best side options. Again, the Nook, probably the best vibes of the bowling alley in the basement. That was really fun. Me and my buddies bowled for like 2 hours and enjoyed the Juicy, so it was cool. But yeah.
That's the official list. There
Thank you for coming on. Thanks for sharing the official list.
I'm gonna have hard work.
I'm gonna have to try the Nook. And I'm gonna have to go try the blue cheese, Lucy. Those are 2 places I haven't been to.
Pretty sure Cretan Durham Hall boys lacrosse owes me one.
You are correct. So we get to cash that in. I'll have to pick up my own, but Katie, you do get a free one.
A free one at the Nook. I've never been there. I've been to Blue Door, been to Matt's Bar.
Yeah,
never
I love Matt's Bar.
I don't think.
Bixby, we're gonna have to get you on for an official interview at some point, maybe this off season. But thank you for making your debut and sharing
your the Lord's work, really.
Sharing your experience tasting all the Lucy's in the metro area.
Hey, everyone listening, I definitely recommend checking out all those restaurants and enjoy your Juicy Lucy's. And again, PMAC, thanks for having me on. Thanks for having me on, guys. And again, good luck to Prior Lake and Lakeville North state champs. So let's get to it.
Hey, we'll see you Saturday.
Yep. Have a good night, y'all.
Yep. See ya.
Peace.
And thank you to Mr. Bixby for coming down the alley, sharing his thoughts on the local Juicies. Ted, you coached him a bit?
Very, very little. So he was part of the 2018 team that I coached with Jaden and Cole and those guys, but he didn't actually join the team until I was done coaching those guys. So there was maybe some off-season camps or something like right when I started 36 and with that group, but
okay.
Very minimal, but definitely watched him through his high school career, stud goalie at East Ridge. They had a squad back then, and him and Currington both in Section 3 and like both obviously on the same club team, and I think we're both up for Mr. Goalie, and so like just one of those like classic like goalie battles, like 2 superstar goalies. So really, really good player and had a good college career too.
obviously a huge fan of Currington as well. Which one won it? Because those were like two goalie figureheads.
Currington won it.
Okay.
They won state.
He may have gotten like the first team all state goalie award. Like one of them got like Mr. Goalie, and one of them got the All American.
Okay,
team.
cool.
So I think
I'm pretty sure Currington got Mr. Goalie.
Yeah, it was a while ago, but nonetheless,
they're both studs.
Yeah,
they're both
insane.
studs.
That was crazy class that year.
Yeah, that was.
Well, we'll have to have him on for an interview and get all the details.
He'll tell us. Yeah,
he'll get to tell us. And UDM guy, right? Detroit guy. So obviously a big fan of him, and it's been good. He's a recent grad, so he's back in MN now, and it was fun being able to reconnect with him, have a Lucy with him last night, and seeing him today after our game, and hopefully see him Saturday as well. So we'll just get right back to it. We were talking about the
back to Elk River Zimmerman. Yeah.
Oh, you have something on them? Okay, go for it.
They lost the consolation last year to Stillwater.
Okay.
So if they win, that's huge. That's huge for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, another step in kind of like the progress, right? Another step in the right direction for that program if they can, pull one out against a good Eastridge team who, this is a nice, obviously, not the side of the bracket that you might want to be on, but hey, there's still a championship you could win.
Yep. That should be a good game between, Eastridge and Elk River Zimmerman. Eastridge is still kind of on this little magical run. I don't want to take anything away from them, but I don't know how much talk there was about them going into the season. I think Elk River Zimmerman was a kind of a team to watch, having been at state last year, being in the consolation game last year, winning the section. I think they were on the radar. Eastridge wasn't. And so that will be an interesting game between those two. The two semifinal games, I didn't get to watch at any of the Dinah Stillwater game. 10-7 Hornets, so they advance. I saw some Twitter updates. It sounded like it was fairly close.
It was back and forth the entire game. And I think at some point Stillwater was up. And like very, very much. It might have been tied at halftime.
Yeah, and that game went to overtime a few weeks ago, regular season. Something I noted, maybe it was in the Discord, maybe it was on the podcast, I don't remember, but all 4 semifinal games were rematches from the regular season. Boys and girls. So all 4 of them. And so that's an interesting. I don't know how often that happens. I would assume it happens, some of the time. Obviously, there's only so many teams, but cool that all the games you got kind of a second look, and teams could go make adjustments and figure out. And we had the script was flipped quite in 3 of the 4. Right? Did Stillwater beat Edina, or did Edina beat Stillwater in the regular season?
It was like a quadruple overtime. I don't even remember who won the regular season. I remember I was there. It was an absolute electric factory game. I don't remember who won though.
I'll look it up right now.
I will too. Was that Thursday? No, not 30th.
Because if
it was like the last regular season game almost for the girls. It's one of the last nights.
So all 4. Okay, so Stillwater won that game on the last Thursday of the regular season. I was looking at Tuesday. So Stillwater won. So all 4 semifinals were rematches, and all 4 were flipped.
Whoa!
So the loser of the regular season won the playoff game.
Wow!
So 4 upsets.
Wow!
So, I mean, I guess. Well,
technically, North was a higher seed.
Yeah, so it wasn't necessarily upsets, but
it was
avenging losses.
So Shakopee beat Lakeville North in the regular
season. Yes, they did.
That was their first loss of the year. Crushed them.
So something else then. So I guess then cat's out of the bag by now. Lakeville South was upset by Benilde.
And that's an upset.
5 seed.
That's an upset.
5 seed. That way, oh gosh, yeah. But so that was flipped But you made a comment about Benilde boys that I think is true for Lakeville South girls. I think this is their first loss in 2 years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Ooh,
Because I'm pretty sure they were undefeated last year also.
the girls were. Lakeville South went undefeated last year, didn't
Yeah.
they? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so their last loss was the 2021
State championship game
championship game.
to Prior Lake.
And
Wow.
then undefeated last year, undefeated until tonight.
Night.
Wow.
It gives me chills.
I did catch some of this game.
I didn't catch any of it, so tell us about it.
So Benilde jumped out early.
I did hear that.
I want to so I don't know if this was the game plan because I'm not in the coaching room, but if it was, what I was most impressed with Benilde going into that game is I think when you play, a team with the power that Lakeville South has, you want to sit and you want to figure out, like, what do we do to slow them down? What do we do to slow them down? You have all these defensive. They flipped that. I think they just said, we're going to attack. We're just going to try to attack and try to score more goals than they can. And like almost kind of just accept the fact that they're going to score a lot on us because they're that good. But we got to just take our chances and go.
So that comment is really funny because supposedly that is Lakeville South's game plan. Score more goals and you'll win. Like, in meaning they don't necessarily have a lot of time devoted to their defensive game. And supposedly the coaching style is score more goals and you'll win.
Yeah. So again, from sort of a novice perspective, it just looked like Benilde was going to burn the boats. They're going to press, they're going to play, they're going to sell out. And let's just hope that, I don't want to say hope, that might be like not the right term, but like they took the mindset of we're going to go at them versus sit back and try to slow the game down. And they jumped out early. And then Lakeville South stormed back. I think it was 7-7 at one point, but it was like 4 or 5-1 Benilde early. And then it was 7-7. And then Benilde went back up. And then Lakeville South late in the second half came back and took the lead and won the face-off. The draw control. And Benilde got a stop, went down and scored. Lakeville won the next draw control, and Benilde jumped a pass to pick it off and go down. They call a timeout. There was like a minute left, and they ended up scoring with 10 seconds left to win or to take the lead, and that was enough to win 14-13.
Wow.
And so, both teams, hats off. Super exciting game, and I do apologize if I misinterpreted a couple. I was in and out, but it was just back and forth, and no team was really phased by runs, and they just said, all right, we're going to go back at it, and we're going to, in multiple lead changes, obviously two fantastic teams. I will say, out of all the teams this year when we were going through our sections and all these things, out of all the teams that said, you're sleeping on us, like, I can't believe you think that we're not good, blah, 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 blah. I feel like Benilde girls were the one team we actually slept on.
I agree.
We did pick them to win the section unanimously. So it's not like we thought like out of nowhere, but I don't remember talking about them a lot during the season. They just kind of chugged along through the season, had a couple wins, nice wins, had a couple tough losses, and then playoff time came around and they found a new gear, and they looked fantastic from the few minutes that I watched. Shout out to Mitch Benson, childhood friend of mine, assistant coach, Benilde girls, going for a ring on Saturday, so congratulations to him. Benilde
Honestly, I would love to have their coach Anna on. and just hear her story. And yeah, what was in the coaching room.
Yeah.
Because I think you're probably hitting the nail on the head, and it's just like such a feat. It's crazy. And like you said, they went last year and we kind of didn't even give them credit for that. I feel like it's kind of guilty by association a little bit. We just kind of like hate the boys program. We don't hate the boys program. That was a misspoke on my part, but they are such a force on the boys side. It's almost like we kind of don't talk about them as much because everybody knows about them. So it's like for the girls, it's almost like we just kind of skip over them because we're so used to skipping over them on the boys side. So I think you're right. I think we definitely slept on them this season. I would love to know. I also want to shout out because this is, really recent in my life to shout out the other teams, both Stillwater and Lakeville South. Don't let it, and the other teams that lost, Chan girls, Champlain Park girls, don't let it completely override the success you had this season. That was something Coach Jessica said like minutes after we lost. She's like, we can't let this one game completely wash all of the other success we had this season. Lakeville South, I mean, everybody knows how good of a team you are. 2 years in a row, I mean, undefeated is like, don't let today absolutely wash away all of the success you guys have had. So
Yeah, I mean that hugely impressive team, and Benilde girls played, they played their one of their best games, and they caught them on the right day. Excuse me. The other thing too, the Hornets, the Edina Hornets. Like I said, I didn't see the game, so we didn't talk about that game a lot, but they kind of feel like a team of destiny this year too, a little bit. This is a very interesting state final game on the girls' side for me.
I'm excited. 2 teams that have never been.
Yeah,
it's really exciting. It's really, really exciting. And I think this is just like, if I can't be there, I want it to be them because it's cool.
So my take on this, and Katie, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not as deep on the girls' side, but my take on Edina and Benilde beating Lakeville South, and Edina, I know looking back, beat Prior Lake. It seems like, South, bunch of depth. Prior Lake, bunch of depth. But Benilde, a couple of weapons. Really good goalie, a couple of studs on O. I'm sure they have others, right? But, those are a couple pieces that stand out. Edina, similar. What I saw, their goalie stepped up against Prior Lake. They've got a couple of athletes. And I'm not saying South doesn't have weapons and Stillwater doesn't. South has, the Metro Player of the Year, but is the few big pieces playing a bigger part this season at least versus the depth? Is that am I way off on that?
I don't think so.
Something that Coach Tim Roach, who coaches with us at Farmington now and helps out a little bit, he said, he's won state. He's been to state final, had runner-up one year, and also won the state title one year with Eastview. And he made a point that said, once you kind of get closer to the end and get to that kind of championship level lacrosse, the number ones on each team sort of cancel each other out. Everybody's good at that point. So your star player is probably having, I don't want to say shut down, but neutralized by the star defender or vice versa, or, a really good couple players are neutralized by other good couple players. So the depth and athleticism of the number 2s and number 3s really start to come into play. And it's not always just give the ball to your best player and let them go. Other people have to step up, and that doesn't mean that they're not factors. I will say I didn't see the game today, but when I did watch Edina play, I was extremely impressed with their athleticism, and we talked about it a little bit. It just the midfield. I mean, it's just they're up and down, and they like never run out of gas. It's unbelievable, actually. And I think that's their strength. And but I kind of feel like they're a team of destiny where they've had a lot of heartbreak with really good teams in the past, and they got, sorry to bring up tough feelings, but they've got through Prior Lake, which was like a demon they had to slay, right? They had to get through the section, and now they're playing at such an extremely high level. Stillwater's kind of always in the mix. Quality program. Game could have gone either way. They're missing one of their best players to injury, so that's a factor, and that's a factor for everybody at this time of year. Like, who durability is more important than ability. Just who do you have left after 12 weeks of a season? And so, the way that the chips fall, we have Edina and Benilde St. Margaret's for the title game on Saturday. A new champion will be crowned on the girls' side. And I'm excited to see this game, as much as I can. I'll be coaching all day Saturday, but if I can, follow along a little bit, I think they're two very different teams. And, they're both really good at what they do, or what their strength is. So we'll see kind of what prevails.
Gonna be a heck of a game, like Ted said. This game's gonna be played on Saturday, June 17th at 3:30 p.m. Stillwater Area High School. Great facilities, questionable concessions, but the the game, high expectations. It's going to be an electric factory.
I have a question. I have not been to the state tournament in a while. If you go, can you buy one ticket at 3:00 and watch both games? Or do you have to leave like hockey?
I think so. I think so. I think you can stay, and I don't remember having to leave, and you scan a QR code right there. You can buy your ticket at the door. All electronic payment only. Don't bring cash. Only bring cash for the concession stands. But I'm pretty sure you can just stay.
Yeah, because I would say if you're somebody, again, casual fan, and you wanna you're like, I'm gonna go to the boys game, I would say go to the girls game because it's going to be electric as well. Or if you're a girls fan, I would stay for the boys game because it's going to be electric.
Yes.
I think both games are going to be great. So pack the stadium for both games.
I would agree. It's one day. This is the final dance.
And it's back to back.
Back to back.
It's not like a 9 a.m. game and a 7 p.m. game.
Right. And let's make it, and I'm just saying because, I'm going to be there. Make it an electric factory for the teams. For the players, pack the stands, sell out the concessions, and make them go back to Sam's Club and get more hot dogs and waters, and let's have a time on Saturday. So that's the girls. Hornets.
If you want more recaps, the source, Mrs. PMAC source, has confirmed they are going to write up game recaps. But I think the shock factor was setting in a little bit that they want to make sure they're giving justice to the games that just happened.
And again,
shout out PTA Plus. So
huge shout out to the source. The source is an unpaid source, donating their time to the content game of Down the Alley, just like the rest of us. And they have less of I don't know why they do it sometimes, but the source is all in with us, providing content.
Couldn't do it without them.
Couldn't do it. Could not provide as much content as we do on the actual podcast for the girls without the source and sources, other sources that shoot us DMs and whatnot. So the source does so much work. Shout out to the source. We appreciate everything you do for girls lacrosse content. And without further ado, over to the boys. Again, Ted, I'll let you start it off here and kind of guide us through this. Like you said on the main bracket, for a couple more kind of rematches, awesome games, and consolation. On the consolation side of things, some great matchups as well. Ted, guide us through this. What were you able to see? Katie was at a couple of games as well. Excited to hear, about maybe some of the things I wasn't, at or got a sneak peek of.
Yeah. So this morning, Chisago Lakes and Cretan Durham Hall played in the first of a consolation. Cretan was up early, and I think Chisago, I think, just had a little more gas in the tank and had a massive second half. I think they outscored Cretan Durham Hall, I think like 9-2 in the second half. Chisago's an impressive team. They have some really good athletes. They got a solid face-off guy who's not just a Fogo. He can play on offense. They got a couple athletic poles. They seem to just have more energy. I think Cretan had that game with Lakeville North, that's just that heartbreaker that they had. And rumor has it, it's been confirmed by a couple people. Cretan Durham Hall's goalie in the first quarter of the quarterfinal game broke 2 ribs, and there may have been like a pressing into the lung as well. Like he was hurt, and he finished the game and went straight to the hospital and stayed there overnight. I think he's fine. I think he's going to be okay. But they did not have him. Who, I mean, he's their guy, right? I mean, take his goaltending ability aside, like he is a bench locker room juice glue guy, and he's very skilled. And I think without him, it just changes the complexion of that Cretan team. Not taking away anything from Chisago Lakes, they, like I said, they were pretty athletic, looked good.
I've heard a lot of similar reports. Shout out to Eddie, right? Eddie's his name.
Yep.
An absolute dog for playing through that. What a guy. I'm putting him up for I don't know,
Man of the year. Iron
down,
Man of the year.
down the alley playoff grinder of the year. That's playoff hockey vibes, right? That Stanley Cup just finished, Kachuk battling through broken bones. Eddie doing similar things between the pipes. Huge shout out to Eddie. Hopefully, reports I've heard, he's healthy, he's good. Wish you a quick recovery, and shout out to you grinding through that.
Yeah, for sure. And that, the second game, Moorhead Matamidi, I didn't know what to expect from this game, to be honest. I mean, part of me thought it might be high scoring, and then I was like, maybe, I don't know. It ended up being a low scoring meat grinder. Both teams are physical, play good defense. Moorhead, just, they're patient. They take what they can get. They're physical. They play good defense. Their goalie's strong. But I feel like Matamita is kind of similar. They got a great faceoff guy. They got a great goalie, physical defense, and this is kind of how the game played out. It was a boring game in the sense of like it just was a lot of deadlocked, like not a lot of up and down. Both teams were playing smart. They're getting back. There wasn't a ton of transition. And so, that's why we kind of got that 6-4 game. But congrats to Moorhead for winning and moving on to the consolation final. Similar to some of these teams we talked about on the girls' side. Yes, of course, it stinks that you don't win the state championship or that you drew Benilde in the first round or whatever, but still a lot to play for the Spuds now in their 3rd year in the state tournament. Get to go potentially back home with some hardware. We'll
Love
see
it.
if Chisago Lakes has something to say about that. But kind of cool to see Section 7 and Section 8 playing for a trophy, at the tournament. So that's kind of cool. So that, if you can get out and watch that game or check it on the stream, I think that will be a spirited game and be a good one to watch.
We're big fans of the Spuds. Nothing against Chisago Lakes. Rooting for Moorhead. Making the trip down here. Hopefully they can go home with some hardware. I know they've been grinding it out. They've been prepared for playoffs with the schedule they put together. I'm rooting for them. Again, nothing against Chisago Lakes, but I'm with Spud Nation on this one.
Yeah, and then so on to the sort of the winner's side of the bracket. Again, rematches from the regular season. Shakopee and Lakeville North went to overtime, and Lakeville North wins 9-8. This game was.
Did you watch this one?
I watched a little bit of it. I was again kind of in and out.
I watched a good amount. I saw some early, and then I saw some late, and I saw the final, overtime.
So I'll start with Shakopee. They are they looked like they were going to, in my opinion, I thought they were going to run away with it when I saw the first 5 minutes, and they just looked bigger, stronger, faster. I was like, holy smokes, these guys are like, it would just looked like men against boys. And then all of a sudden you blink and Lakeville North is up 5-2. And that's Lakeville North, right? They're so efficient on offense. They obviously can get the ball, but they didn't win a lot of faceoffs in this game. The Shakopee faceoff guy, a much different type of faceoff guy than Quinn, who is the Metro Player of the Year. So congrats to him. Quinn is very much a speed technician, great athlete, but very much a guy that wants to push it forward and go and get a fast break. And Hellerud, who's on Shockbee's side, maybe understood, like, I'm not going to beat this guy on a clamp. So he made it more of like a physical battle. I think he's a wrestler. He might be playing college football next year, I heard. And he is a unit. Like, dude is a specimen and not someone I would really want to find in a dark alley or anything like that. Like, the guy's a beast, and he, used that to his advantage. And Lakeville North didn't just get to dominate faceoffs and go in and get all these fast breaks. So tip of the cap to Shakopee. But that's the thing with North is they don't need a lot of possessions to score a lot of goals because they can just shoot the lights out. And that's kind of what happened tonight. I think North was up early. Shakopee battled back, took the lead. Then Lakeville North got it back right after Shakopee took the lead. They got it back to tie at 8-8, ended up going into overtime, and then North won. I didn't get to see the very end, but it sounds like there was a Fogo stick check for the second year in a row on Lakeville North. It was good. So goal stands, stick is good. We go into overtime, and North ended up winning. Nathan Long, someone who I shouted out in the Discord as sort of a non-obvious player to watch. I've unfortunately had to play against him twice this year, and he is small in stature, but one of the toughest lacrosse players I have personally seen as a coach, a high school coach.
Not much to add. Love your breakdown. You hit a lot of the pieces. Early on, though, early in the game, I would agree. I thought Shakopee was going to go kind of on a run. Maybe take a huge lead early. They're pressing. North's goalie, is it Tyler Alvers?
Yes, great call out. I forgot to say that. Yeah.
Ridiculous. I don't know what his save count for the game was. I saw a tweet that maybe he had 6 in the first quarter. That might even be low. But it's probably right. I think I saw a tweet. He was making saves left and right and big saves. And so shout out to Tyler Alvers. He helped kind of control the early Sabre push that allowed them to kind of get an early lead. Obviously, Shakopee ended up coming back and making the game. But Alvers kind of calmed that initial storm from the Sabres. There was I can confirm a late Fogo stick check. I don't know if it was on the last goal, of the game, of the regular,
Yeah, it was on the tie. It was after the tying goal to make it.
Yeah, seems right.
Sounds like it was right off the face-off or something, and he went and scored. So they were like,
yeah.
The
I'm gonna get crap for this, but boys need an equipment check, I think, more than girls do, because they manipulate their sticks way more than girls do. And both Prior Lake and Benilde had a helmet fly off, which in my opinion, should not happen because you should have a chin strap. So if that happens, that should be some sort of like equipment check. Stupid jewelry calls. Like, if the girls need to take their jewelry off, the boys need to take their jewelry off. If their stick checks at the face off, they're becoming I know, but then they don't. Like, they don't have any way of checking it at the beginning of the game. So then they do this like tit for tat little thing about checking a stick or checking the face off stick. Like you should just do it at the beginning of the game and then standardize it like the girls have to do. And then if you do it later in the game, chances are like it's getting so annoying to me, because get your equipment in order to play the game. Because and now everyone's got an opinion about if we should stick check or should we not stick check. They should just like, do we do the FOGO and then they have to return it? And then if it's not good, you get it back, you said. Like, it is the dumbest thing. I am sorry, it is the dumbest thing that wastes so much time, in my opinion.
I agree. This could be a whole podcast series, so we're not going to start going down
It's
that
so
line.
dumb.
The stick was legal, so they were playing with the proper equipment, and that is a rule. And boys, you can call for an equipment check. Each team gets one. Whether they should have that or not is like you said, a full.
They can have it, but you should just then check the equipment at the beginning of the game, because girls have it too.
Yep. Okay. We're not going to go down because it's a heated topic, and that could be a whole.
Come at me then. Come at me, because it's so dumb.
Okay, you can slide into Katie's DMs and let her know.
How
But
I don't
dumb and waste of a time it is.
I don't think anybody disagrees with you, Katie.
Yeah.
I was just recapping what happened during the game.
No, I mean, but it's like every game, there's some stupid thing that's pointless and could all be avoided if they just put their freaking chin strap on or something. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I do. And yeah, so
and then how many of them don't wear like a nut cup too? That's on them.
okay,
that's a third episode. But nonetheless, Lakeville North.
so
survived.
overtime, both teams had opportunities. I think Shakopee won the first face-off. Well, there's only one face-off, so Shakopee got the draw. They, I believe, had a look. They may have had a timeout somewhere in there. They got a look. North got the ball, called a timeout, cleared it, and they rang one off the pipe. There's a look off the pipe, and then I believe on the next look, number 7, I think you had his name. What was his name?
Nathan Long. Yep.
Went bar south. Absolute beauty of a goal to send Lakeville North to the championship game.
Yeah. So again, flip the script from the regular season. Shakopee handed North their first loss, kind of early May, mid-May time frame, and this one ended up being anybody's game. North prevails and heads to the state final, setting up. I don't know. I would say it's one of the most anticipated games in a while. Of Benilde Prior Lake, not at a final this time, in a semifinal, a rematch from an early season matchup that I would say Benilde handled pretty easily. Would you say easily? I don't know. I maybe you don't want to comment on that, but
they took care of business, right? They beat us by 6. I think it was like by 5 or 6
They beat
with a couple
really bad, fair and square.
So it wasn't an overtime game. It wasn't
Right.
a last second. It was a game they handled. They handled at a wider margin, but Prior Lake has been on a nice run. Would you call it an upset in the section final? Call it, obviously won their first round game. Now kind of setting up the stage for, what is become like a pretty, I don't want to say heated rivalry, but like a rivalry of two really good programs that play in the playoffs a lot. And I watched some of the game. I had to leave for practice at the end as I was kind of listening to it on the way. My, I guess, first comment was a kind of like Benilde girls against South, that it was just, we're going to come out and we're going to attack and we're going to play and we're not going to be, afraid of what happened in the past. That again, this is the vibe I got. I haven't talked to PMAC about this. I appreciated, even as an offensive coach that likes to see a lot of goals, Prior Lake did their job of possessing the ball and slowing the game down, not allowing a ton of transition for Benilde. I think obviously it was a really close game back and forth. So both teams got their looks. But I think Luke Bloomer played extremely well. I think he stepped up and made some really big saves early that just kept that game close. And, I will say, kind of my last comment was when we talked about, best on best kind of neutralizing, you know, the star offensive players for both teams were neutralized by their defensive matchup. Marcus Levine played great against Carson Brandt, and Kyle Stevens played great against Ben Mickett. And neither guy could just really like run in and score every single time. Like it really was more of a team offensive 6-on-6 game. And, again, tip of the cap to Prior Lake. They were prepared. And, again, also Benilde for 50 something games in a row. I mean, like it just at some point it just can't go on anymore. And today was the day. And Prior Lake had a great day, and that's what happens.
Katie, you're in the stands for this one. What from your point of view, what did you see?
I don't know. I mean, it was intense the whole way. I agree that I think Bloomer stood on his head today. I think he was making saves that like really not only like obviously helped keep the score low, but it helped keep the momentum, and I think it helped keep Prior Lake kind of like their head in the game. I think it was definitely apparent that he would make some really big saves and they would get a little more fire under their butt. There were some moments, I think, then it happened with Vanille the other way. I think there were some things that maybe the ball wasn't bouncing their way, or they got a crease call for one of their goals that was waved off. And so and you could just tell that then that kind of changed their momentum the opposite way. So whereas like you guys had moments like specifically with Bloomer or calls that were going your way, and like the calls were the calls. Like I'm not saying anything on the refs. Like there were definitely questionable calls on both sides of the ball, in my opinion, like for both teams. So it seemed like the things that were in your favor, whether it be Prior Lake's favor, whether it be a big save by Bloomer, a big possession change, a big defensive set overall, like there was a couple amazing D sets that like would get the ground ball and transition it, and like that would absolutely fireworks would go off for the team. But then when something detrimental would happen for Benilde, it would just drag them down, it seemed like. And it was like the opposite was happening, whereas like you guys would have bad calls on you, and it was like, oh, okay, no big deal, we'll get it back. And then Benilde's positive things weren't pumping them up as much as your positive things were. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, so it's kind of like the shift of the momentum was very much like, what are we controlling and what are we not? And it was like, who's taking it and running with it? And there was definitely a switch that was flipped, I feel like, in maybe the end of the third quarter, that seemed like it would just all of a sudden Prior Lake was kind of walking on water.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with, parts, at least from my point of view, being on one of the sidelines. I agree with parts of both. Starting with kind of Ted's points. I think two game plans that worked really well. It was a 2-goal game. This game could have gone either way, right? Depending on the day. It was a close game, back and forth. Like
this is my opinion of the two teams. People can hate me for this. I don't care. Benilde, and I think I said this last year, Benilde to me seems so like robotic, and I know that's their style. I know that that's what they're trying to do. It's like they have reins on them and they're like chomping at the bit. It works for them. Don't get me wrong. I'm not discounting the fact that this works. They're a winning team. They have a really successful program, and year after year they win. To me, it just, I just feel the tension though sometimes, and I want them to just like let go and kind of let loose, let the cannons off. And then for Prior Lake, it seems like you guys just kind of like piece it together, and that works too. And I'm not saying one is right or one is wrong, but it was just like kind of really the juxtaposition of both styles of like, kind of like, oh, we'll kind of just piece together what we have and we're going to make it work. And then the other side is very regimented and And I felt like this last year during the championship game too. It's just so interesting to see these two teams play each other because the styles are just so different, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think the styles, to a degree are different. Two very different teams and styles of play, at times. But to Ted's point, very, very game plan. You could tell that with how do you say his name? Is it Kai? Their LSM?
Oh, Kyle. Yeah.
Kyle. Kyle, their stud LSM, right? Like you said, like neutralizing, one of our star players, Mickett. We had polls, shutting, trying to shut down or neutralize, a couple of their studs in Brandt and Gus Bell, and you can go down the list, trying to find our matchups. Both teams, trying to find the right matchups for, what they're trying to do. So I agree with you to a point, Katie. Being regimented and a little more, free flow at times, but when Benilde and Prior Lake meet each other, it's we know each other very well, and we game plan, and you could see that today, and the game plans I would say on both sides were working for each other, at times, but both teams went on runs as well. Benilde would go on a run, and then we would tie it up and maybe take a small lead, and then Benilde would chomp back, and calls. Again, from my point of view, calls were the calls. I don't remember anything too blatantly bad. There's a couple of weird situations, but I thought it was a well-refed game by any degree. I thought the refs did a great job. I didn't think the calls were bad. Just a couple
One
of
thing
weird,
on the girls' side,
couple of
speaking of
weird
refs,
situations that arose.
there were some really weird situations that nobody really knew what was going on. So
Yeah.
I agree with that. And like refs are refs. The girls had like a sideline official. So like they had the refs, and then they had like the ref, and I think the boys did too. Like
Yep, we
at
have that.
the table.
We have that. Yep.
And I know there's like staffing things, but like it just really like added a kind of a polish to the games, in my opinion. So like I don't know if they always do that. They don't always do that on the regular season.
No, you're not going to get that in the regular season.
I know, and I get that, but like it really adds just like a polish. And so I think that's just shout out to the refs. It's really well done, in my opinion. And
You feel like that game, like it was very chessy. It was like a chess match. Like Katie's point of the reins weren't coming off. Like it didn't turn into a summer league game. That's for sure.
It's
like
definitely not going to be a summer league game.
It's very chessy. It was very like, we're doing very specific things. We're not going to rush. It's very much thought out.
a lot of timeouts.
You could tell both teams like had very specific things that they had talked about, whether that was yesterday / for the last 10 years, I feel like,
Yep.
putting a package together, like you said. And so it's funny when like kind of to take both of your points together of you see Prior Lake and Benilde play, and you all the talent that's on the field, and you're like, this is going to be just a showcase of, run and gun talent, just plays all over the field. And it actually gets pulled back a little bit because everybody wants to make the right decision. Everybody wants to, think about it. And like that, and that's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just, it's two well-coached teams and two teams that trust and respond and like want to do what their coaches say.
Yeah, no, and I think when you have as much talent on the field, maybe you think it's going to be a 15-14 game, but it's like, okay, well, you got two good goalies, you got good polls, you have scouted the heck out of this team. You play this team twice a year. You play them at the big stage every year. You kind of know what's coming. There's going to be wrinkles, so a couple things might surprise you, or it might be new, but you've both teams are watching film, so you know what's coming, or you have a good idea. So it's not going to be a 14-15 game. It's going to be a 9-7 game, and that's about the range of, I think, the typical score of a Prior Lake BSM game at this time of the year. It is what it is.
Yeah. No,
Is
I
Gus
think
Bell a senior?
I believe he's a junior.
he's a junior. Um,
Really good.
so that sets up a Shakopee Benilde third place game, which is really interesting because that's kind of a marquee matchup. If you have to think about where teams are landing, like that, that'll be an interesting one to watch. Again, two teams that are pretty physical, tough, athletic, and so and again a lot to play for, and it sets up a Lakeville North Prior Lake final rematch of the 2016 state tournament final, Prior Lake's first championship. The last time Lakeville North was in a final. And so fun little rematch there. Two teams that have played each other in the regular season. A lot of rematches in the state tournament. I don't know if we want to preview these games or not, but it has been a hell of a state tournament.
It's been fun. There's upsets, there's surprises, there's like you said, like matchups made in heaven. The Shakopee Benilde game, if I'm going to preview that, I think Shakopee, it being their first state tournament, they're going to be hungry in this one. They want to bring some hardware home. And I don't know. I think Shakopee is going to come out and not that Benilde doesn't want to bring hardware home and be hungry for this game, but I think Shakopee is going to want this one maybe a little bit more, maybe 1% more than Benilde, and having it be their first run, and at this dance, I could see Shakopee coming out and being hungry, winning this game, and bringing home a good piece of hardware on their first run here.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see Shakopee's defense against Benilde's offense. I think Shakopee, I don't want to call them an underrated defense. I think everybody knows they have a good defense, but they were operating at like under 5 goals per game, or maybe it was under 6. So maybe it was like mid 5s, which is fantastic. And Benilde just has, at any given time, they have 6 guys out there that can all pass, shoot, dodge, score, right? So I'll be interested to see that matchup of strength on strength. And that I do agree with you. I think it'll be interesting to see how both teams respond to being in the third place game, because there's still, again, I'll say it 100 times, there's still a lot to play for, and a third place in state is a huge accomplishment. And it
Definitely.
might not be where either team really wanted to be, but I think both teams will come out firing to prove, hey, we had a bad day yesterday, or bad day on Thursday, but we're the real deal. And as far as the state final, I know you probably don't want to dive too much into it. Obviously Prior Lake's a much improved team than they were last time that they played Lakeville North, but Lakeville North is a much improved team. And, I don't think Lakeville North will win by 9 goals again. I'm not saying they're not going to win. I think it's going to be a great battle. I think both teams have strengths, both teams have weaknesses. And, again, they know each other well. You guys play every single year. Yeah, I think it should be a hell of a final. And again, a new champ is going to be crowned for for this year on the boys' side.
Yeah, no, I can't dive too much into it because I haven't started I'm not going to sleep a whole lot the next 24 hours, at least before practice tomorrow. Got to dive into the film here, help put together a game plan after the podcast here, and but I fully expect this to be an absolute barn burner. Lakeville North was their last run in 2016.
Yeah.
So Lakeville North went on a run. Played Prior Lake in 2016. I wasn't a part of the program at that time. It was kind of my gap between, being a player and a coach. So North has been to the big dance before. Now they're back. It's going to be fun. It's going to be unreal. Hopefully a bunch of the girls, before, the girls fans and teams and whatnot, and earlier games and schools, stick around, that'd be a great time. This game's always, it's special, right? It's the final dance. It's going to be, two big public schools. Fully expect the student sections to get rowdy. I would love some brass to be in the stands. I love a good brass, a good band. I don't know if
Out for the
either
summer,
school.
so.
What would you say?
School's out for the summer, so you
Yeah.
might have, I don't know if the band teacher's going to be replying to emails to get that organized.
Yeah, no, I don't know if we can arrange that or not. I don't know if what each situation is at North and Prior Lake for band, but I guess this is my formal request for some brass to be in the stands. Let's get it popping. But no, if you're a Minnesota, lacrosse fan, and you're in the area and maybe you don't have anything going on, 6:00, June 17th. It's a Saturday, 6 p.m. Come on out to Stillwater Area High School. It should be a time.
Agreed. That's all we got.
Is that all? Is that all we got?
That's all we got. Again, yeah, just fantastic lacrosse, all the way across the board today. And I expect, I expect consolation games, third place games, and finals to be the same way. And what a hell of a season! You're the upset. It held true on both the boys and the girls side. Even more proof that regular season doesn't matter, because if you play again, you throw it out the window. It's always a fresh slate. But
It's really satisfying that the bracket is filled in.
yeah, we got only a few games left, and then it's over. And I just felt like we were wearing parkas in April. So,
We were.
Man, we were wearing them in May.
Yeah. I mean, and thank you to everybody who has been following along, whether they hate us, whether they love us. We appreciate you listening. Hopefully our recaps have been good enough for you to get a kind of a synopsis of what's been going on. And
honestly, the easiest way for you to get on our radar, if you think we don't talk about your team enough, is to yell at us. And then we'll probably pay attention to you and chirp you and think about you all the time. So,
and earn it.
Be nice, but yeah, it's so true.
We'll talk about you. And a lot of teams, a handful of teams have done that. And so, fantastic season, and looking forward to a finale, the grand finale on Saturday.
The final dance. I don't remember if I said it last episode. If I didn't, again, Down the Alley Nation's been dabbing us up at the state tournament, at youth games. Refs have been coming up. So, I truly appreciate it. I know Ted and JP and Katie do too. Thanks for listening. We had record numbers last week on the podcast, and it blew past listens in a week by a mile. We're in a different universe. So again, thank you for listening, following along. We had one of our trolls kind of come out and release who he was, and that he also gave us big props the other day. So it's been fun meeting the trolls, meeting the fans, meeting Down the Alley Nation. I still kind of question why you would listen to me for an hour or more a week, but it's been fun covering the sport, meeting coaches, meeting officials, meeting the fans and players, across our great state and across the game. So with that, thanks for tuning in. Semifinals are over. We're on the big dance, the finals, the third place games, and the consolation championships, all on Saturday. Some of them are in Stillwater, some of them are in White Bear Lake. All of them will be streamed. Make it out to a game, hop on some streams, and let's have a great end to this fun season.
Word.